Well, it's time now for our Entre Nous segment, and today we're diving into something that is very dear to the French, their public holidays in the month of May. Solange Mougin is here with us to break this down. Hi, Solange.
Hi, Andra.
So, are there too many public holidays in May in France?
Well, this is an incredibly divisive issue and question here in France of whether this is the case of too much of a good thing or if France has it just right when it comes to public holidays or bank holidays, as they say in the UK. This year, as with most years, there are 4 public holidays in the month of May. May 1st, or Labor Day, May 8th, which is Victory in Europe Day to celebrate the acceptance of the surrender of the Nazis in World War II. Then there's the Ascension Day, which is 40 days after Easter, and it signifies in the Christian tradition the ascent of Jesus. And finally, there is the 25th of May, which is Whit Monday and which celebrates the Virgin Mary. Now, both of the Christian holidays are sometimes in the month of June, but generally in May. Nonetheless, 4 days off may seem like a lot, especially if you do something that's called le pont, or the bridge in French. And this is when you optimize a public holiday that falls, say, on a Thursday. You may put down that Friday and as a vacation day, and then you have a 4-day weekend. France does not, like some other nations, move its holidays to the closest Monday or Friday. And that's why we have le pont, or this bridge, and why it's such a big deal in French culture. And this year, in regard to optimizing, it is a good one for vacation lovers. By putting in 8 days in May, you could potentially be on vacation for 17 consecutive days. So that is pretty good for employees. But Lindsay notes that every public holiday costs 1.5 billion euros. That figure also needs some nuance too, which I'll get to in a second. Nonetheless, every year there are articles about how to optimize your vacation time. And for decades, there have been newsreels on who gets off and who doesn't, as well as how to optimize, as we see in this one from 2008.
I'm leaving tonight on vacation until Whit Monday, so that's 12 consecutive days.
Are you taking the May holidays? How does it work for you?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Impossible.
So this question of who works on it and who doesn't, there's been a bit of fuss about that recently in France, hasn't there? Yeah, of France's 11 holidays, there is only 1 day by law in the French Labor Code under Article 3133-4 that is legally férié, or a holiday, and also chômé, or not worked. And that day is May 1st, or Labor Day. It is the only holiday that has this special mention, and this was done in 1948 to ensure that it remained as a tribute to workers' rights only. French law also states that essential services like hospitals, journalists, many of us work on May 1st, and also transportation, they are allowed to work and they're paid double. Also, owners of businesses and their family members, they are also allowed to work without risking a fine. But for the past couple of years, there's been grumbling, namely among florists and bakers, florists because there is a tradition of offering lilies of the valleys, as well as bakers, that they can't ask their employees to come in on Labor Day. And so in April, the government tried to fast-track a law to make an exception for them. The bill had already been passed by the Senate last year, but not the National Assembly. But this push, it was spearheaded by Gabriel Attal, turned into a political fiasco. It pitted right against left with threats of censure. Now, the labor unions were also collectively up in arms, saying that this is an important national symbol for workers' rights, and that it was being eaten away at. And it also raised questions of whether workers would really be free to choose. Before the tabling of the law, politicians were deeply divided on it.
This is volunteer-based. It's for those that want to work May the 1st.
People are going to be forced to come in because with job insecurity, you can't say no to your boss who asks you to work on the 1st of May.
Now, the bill created such a political fiasco that those who put it forth, they actually decided to pull it, at least for now. But the government has said that it will take up the issue later for 2027. And Sébastien Lecornu, the Prime Minister, also said that instructions will be given to ensure that bakers and florists won't essentially be fined, which may be legally questionable. But nonetheless, the political tornado, it has raised the issue of defining what really is essential work, and also as well went the issue of if a holiday isn't for all, does it become weaker or easier to remove, and does it create greater inequalities between those that have and those that have not?
And France, does have this reputation for having too many public holidays. Does it? Does it have too many public holidays?
Well, the European Union, its research branch, has actually looked into this. And the EU ERA found, by studying the data of 101 countries, that they believe that there is a sweet spot to the number of public holidays. Too few, it eats away at economic growth, actually, in certain sectors like tourism, the need for rest, national cohesion, values, traditions. And too many, they found, too many holidays, they found that the benefits, they plateau, and you start having negative economic effects and impact. Now, the study found that the optimal number is between 9 and 10 days. So where does France stand? Well, it technically has 11 holidays, but one of them, the lundi de Pentecôte, or Whit Monday, it doesn't really fully count as the money goes to support the elderly. Some have it off, some do not. It is a complete casse-tête, we say, or a headache in and of itself. Nonetheless, France, when you compare it to other EU nations, it is actually below the EU average of 12.7 days of public holidays. And it is ranked, as we can see here, in the ranking. You have to also take into account the vacation days of paid vacation. And in that regard, France is pretty much in the middle. So France may have a reputation among some of not working much. But when we take in these averages and the productivity numbers, well, it shows that it is a lot more nuanced than that.
Very unjust reputation, then.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Solange Mougin there. And, of course, you can see more Entre Nous on our website, france24.com.